I've had this machine for a few months now, actually for well over half a year, but I just haven't had the space to do much with it, so it's sat in the shop here for a while, and then for the last month or so I had it sitting outside because I had to clear the shop out. So unfortunately there's been some it's had to sit out in the elements for a little bit. So I'm gonna take this apart and clean it as thoroughly as I can. This is a 2003 Kenmore 90 series direct drive, and this is one of the higher end models. As you can tell, and as you can see here, it says 3-speed motor with 5-speed combinations. So those are your speeds. You have heavy duty, fast, fast, normal, slow, fast, delicate, slow, slow, hand wash, casual, extra slow, slow, and hand wash plus, fine, delicates, intermittent, extra slow, slow. So it's got a lot of fancy extra features you don't need, and an extra rinse, or second rinse as it's labeled on Kenmore's. And then it does have a warm, but I'm pretty sure this is one of those machines that has auto temperature control all across the board. So it doesn't matter what you put it on, it's gonna use that auto temperature control whether you like it or not. And it has 4 water level settings, which I've always thought was pretty interesting. On some of these machines they have 4 water levels instead of a square number like 3 or 5, you know. And that's the data plate. All that information, you can pause to read that. And that's what the lid says. You can pause to read that as well. It does have a bleach dispenser, and this has a brand new fabric softener dispenser that I put on it. And it is a triple action agitator. So with the there's a plug on there somewhere, I'll have to get that off. With the dual action, there's also a spring inside of there which allows this to actually move up and down a little bit. So it allows for more bulkier loads to be better cleaned. So, which I've never actually used one of these personally, so I can't say for sure how well of a job that does. I can only imagine it probably does a pretty good job. Not so much more though than a regular agitator would. And it's got the white porcelain spiral pattern tub. The lid switch, I took that out because when I first got this machine I discovered that was broken. And this machine was given to me for free, so this is actually a very, very great find, and I'm very happy to have come across this one. So yeah, I'm going to take this apart, give it a good cleaning, get rid of the elements that have, unfortunately it's had to sit in for a little bit, and then I've got the hose hooked up. I've got a Y adapter here that I've hooked up to a garden hose that I just had to do a male end repair attachment to. And then one hose is going to the back of the machine for the fill spout, and then another hose I have here going to a nozzle, so I can use that in tandem with the machine if I do, you know, run a cycle in this and need to spray something down. So I'll be able to have the capability to do that now. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to set this camera up on the tripod now and we'll start getting to work. Get you. this machine is missing the classic pieces that the control panel rests on, or hinges back on and rests. It was like that too when I got it, I'm pretty sure. So it is what it is. The control panel will just have to kind of rest on the back panel as much as possible. So underneath, you can tell there's a little bit of rust. Ignore the dog that's on the video I'm listening to. There's a little bit of rust here on the motor mounting, or the water shield for the motor, and then, like, you know, on the drain pump clips and hose clamps. Little, you know, surface rust here on this bracket too. The transmission might have a little rust on just the bottom casing part as well. But otherwise, I gave this machine to, when I first got it, I gave it as much of an in-depth cleaning as I could. I took the tub out and gave it, you know, a good scrubbing in the tubs as best as I could, so that's why it looks as clean as it does. It's just really, and I had to make a hack job repair too here with the back panel. I just used some cable ties, or some zip ties rather, tied them together, just to hold the back panel from, you know, falling back. So far, everything looks pretty good under there. I did clean it, again, like I said, as best as I could. I cleaned all under here, and I do remember this did have a pink residue inside that was very difficult to get out. My hope is to maybe get this hooked up, because though it won't be a permanent solution, it will be at least something like having here, while it's still warm out, something to have for like a secondary machine to use for the time being. And perhaps, I don't know, if we work out some sort of method or whatnot to maybe being able to have this out here for a little bit long term, semi-long term, you know, that might be nice, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to do that. I'm going to vacuum all this out, get as much as I can, and go from there. Okay, so with that, with all the vacuuming that needed it being done, I am going to go ahead and plug it in. The inner tub will need a good wiping down here real quick before I start that, so give me a minute and I'll do that first, and then we'll start a rinse cycle. Okay, so with all the scrubbing done, and I took the agitator out as well and briefly wiped that down and rinsed it out, we can now go ahead and start a cycle. I'm actually gonna start it on a 14-minute cycle here on super clean, or ultra clean as it's labeled on this one. And I'm going to do something here about that water pressure. That's better. This is my twin halogen work light that I got from Harbor Freight a few years ago. And tried to do a review on it when I first got it, but I don't remember it even turned out. There's some leakage happening here from the valve in back because it doesn't have a cap on it, so that can happen when you don't have a hose hooked up sometimes. So I should say leakage from the hot water valve because I don't have a hose hooked up to that one, so I gotta find the cap on that. Immediately when this started up, I could, while I was over there trying to rummage through one of the boxes over there to see if I could find that cap, and I looked over here when it started, and this started up, I immediately could see a bunch of crap kicked up from the pump. So I'm glad I'm running this cycle, that way I can make sure this gets all rinsed out and stuff. And I left the tub ring off too, in case I gotta spray in between the tubs while it's spinning or something. Help get the rest of the excess crap out of there. I also did mention at the beginning of this video, this machine is a 3-speed. So I'll reset it here real quick just to show you. So it has your high speed agitation, your heavy duty cycle, and then it has your normal speed in this case. Which I think is gentle enough as it is already, and then if that weren't enough, then you have extra low, or you have how Sharky would call it, high speed, normal, this would be normal speed, and then you have low speed, which is unbelievably delicate, like a dove. Agitator does that because it's on the spring, so, and there's no clothes in it, so it's going to bounce like that anyway. And then it has intermittent. So I'll reset it. So it has all those speeds you want for the direct drive. So it's definitely one of the high-end models. Anyways, it's about to go in the drain, so we'll let it do that. Hey, so far neutral drain is working good. Not speak too soon though, we'll just see how it holds. one that has that awesome growl in the neutral drain and spin cycles. Interestingly though, my dad's 9280 series, which was basically the 80 series version of the 92 machine we have now, had that same growl that you would hear, which I thought was very interesting. It must have been, maybe it must have, because he got it from a second-hand appliance shop, it might have been a refurbished unit. As soon as it empties, it's going to stop, because it had more water than clothes in it. Knew that before. Which in my opinion is actually better than no spray rinse in the first spin. This one has a second spray rinse in the first thing. Some of the 80 series and 90 series models from this era only had one spray rinse that was about, I think, like 20 to 30 seconds long. So it was longer than your average 15-second spray rinse intervals on normal that you would normally have on these washers. I am going to do a manual spray here in between the tubs to make sure as much gets out as possible. I'm not going to make a mess here. Wow. That was an interesting braking sequence. Seemed like it took a second and then it catched really rough or really sharply. But the brake seems to work in that it doesn't stick so hard, so as to jerk the whole thing around when it stops, so that's good at least. The clutch, however, may need, and I actually have a spare clutch band lining that I got free when I replaced the brake on the 2000 Whirlpool. It's only a 3-band clutch, but it comes with 2 different sets of springs, one's for a regular size and obviously one's for a compact size machine. So you just got to determine which one fits your machine, and go from there. And just for a fun little FYI, if you will, I still have the old brake assembly from the 2000 Whirlpool. The cam release, or the brake release cam on it still feels like it's in good shape, but it's always wise, you know, when you get a new brake to replace that anyway. So, and as you'll remember from that video on the brake replacement, this I ended up damaging one of the seals, or the seal in this piece, and ended up having to buy a new one. And you know, well enough anyways, because that brake was getting worn out. As you remember, it was getting very slow to stop, so this is the light setup I got. It does have some parts missing on it since I've used it. Whoops. Almost forgot the hose. I don't have it secured to the dolly here that I used to move the machine, which is what I usually have it resting on, because it doesn't have a gooseneck thing on it to hold it down, so I have to kind of hold it by hand. There you go. That was a whole cycle of just water. Yeah, like I said, the whole point of that was just to get anything loosened, any loose crap, sort of rinsed out and whatnot as best as it could. So at this point, I'll go ahead and put probably the tub ring back on, and then I'll go ahead and run one more rinse cycle or two, and probably call it there.